Hello, everybody. Jeremy Bruce here with Financing in 5 Minutes. Today, we are going to spotlight two gentlemen that I sort of follow, look up to, pros, cons, but they're very popular. They've been around for many years. One, Robert Kiyosaki, the other one, Dave Ramsey. Both use different tactics, both use different ways to get financially free or financially responsible, but I'm going to kind of go over the basics. My opinion, this is not financial advice. You invest at your own discretion. This is just based off of my personal opinion, go over the facts, and maybe give you what I feel is pros, cons, in between both. So Robert Kiyosaki, we'll start with him first. He wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, back in the mid-late 90s. There's been multiple versions, I believe, all the way up until 2020, 2021. I've got quite a few. He's somebody I highly respect. Highly, I personally would recommend because I believe his philosophy, but there are flaws as well. So under the rich dad, poor dad philosophy in the book, he wrote the book based off of his rich dad was actually a friend's father who was a big real estate developer and investor and taught him a way of investing and not getting into the W-2 type of employee, where his poor dad actually wasn't really poor. He made very good money, but he thought about get a job, save your money into a 401k or retirement fund, and work until you're 70 years old and live off of that. And he even put an equation here, and I'm going to kind of go over it. So he breaks down, and there are some missing pieces. Me being on, at one point in my career, a W-2 employee who had made decent money working for a company who went into a business, I can, in real estate specifically, I can kind of attest to a lot of his philosophies. But he talks about, EEB, SI. E is employee, W-2, you have a job, you can make good money, you can grow your retirement fund. But then he kind of positions you as where you start to flow into it as a business owner. That could be a small business owner. If you do a coffee shop, you start a real estate investment firm, or a self-employed job where you're like a contractor, 1099 employee. These two obviously get taxed in the highest brackets if you get to that point. Whereas a business owner and or investor, you own your own investments. There's a lot of tax write-offs that can be done. You constantly are investing, scaling, growing. One of the other philosophies is he is for using debt. To acquire real estate, use debt, leverage that real estate. You base off of the appreciation over time. You pay down, you get cash flowing real estate where you can start paying that down. You then take the equity out of that, move it to another one, and you constantly use that debt to acquire more assets. For many, that has worked. That can also get you in trouble if you over leverage yourself. If your real estate isn't cash flowing enough and you're paying more in debt, you can get yourself into trouble. You could lose assets. You can go through bankruptcy. Many have. But if you are smart and you are calculated, and there's quite a few others that can play a part into that. It really does work. Most real estate millionaires and billionaires, like, this is a philosophy or similar philosophy they have. It's just don't over leverage yourself on too many real estate or paying too much into real estate. Now, flip it over here, Dave Ramsey kind of gives you a whole different outlook. He doesn't believe in having debt. I believe for a family of four that might have a lot of college debt that don't ever want to become a business owner or an investor, they kind of are going to stay in this column. This works for them. 50-30-20 rule was one of the books that he wrote in philosophies, where you break down a budget, 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. I still think 30% is a lot for just once if you're trying to get yourself out of debt, which is a lot of what he talks about. But some of the highlights on his philosophy is prioritizing the needs in your budget, especially if you have a high level of debt or credit cards or college debt. Don't go out to eat. You're going to have to really majority of your budget goes to paying down that debt. Having a savings emergency fund, $1,000 to start, 6-month emergency fund. Those are really good things to have, especially if you have a family and you're looking at getting yourself debt-free and not having to really grow a business or scale. That philosophy works. Where it's limited and where that might not be is you're limited on scale and growth in your financial journey. You're not going to most likely become a multi millionaire when it comes to taxes and write offs and being able to utilize debt. You don't pay taxes on debt. That's one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki over here emphasizes a lot. Where Dave Ramsey's is live a debt free life, house paid off. There really isn't a right or a wrong. It really just comes down to where your path as an investor or a W-2 employee and or a business owner, where do you want to be? I mean, I believe there are small business owners who can still utilize Dave Ramsey's philosophy, but I do believe that Robert Kiyosaki's is really more based off of if you're going to scale up and own, $20 million of real estate one day, that's kind of the philosophy you want to take. Whereas Dave Ramsey's is a good philosophy to get yourself out of debt. I just personally don't believe if you're looking at growing wealth, that is not the way, because you can't really grow wealth by having money sitting in savings as much. But that is my financing in under 5 minutes, and just a quick take on Dave Ramsey, Robert Kiyosaki. Thank you, and talk to you again.